Right, so hello and welcome back to Books and Things, and welcome to another Victober video. In fact, to what I think will probably be my last video actually in Victober, although I do have another vlog coming up later this week, and of course my Victober wrap up. But today what I wanted to do is do a shout out video talking about some other booktubers who I love, but with a slight difference. Today I'm going to be talking about other booktubers who really enjoy Victorian literature. So I have quite a lot of people to talk to you about today, all of whom are brilliant booktubers and all of whom read quite a lot of Victorian literature. However, I'm also going to link down below in the description a playlist that Kate Howe made of all of the TBRs for Victober. So if you want extra recommendations for booktubers who have taken part in Victober or enjoy reading Victorian literature, I would definitely recommend checking out Kate's playlist. I found a lot of new channels through there who I'm looking forward to seeing more of in the future. As I often do when I'm doing booktuber shoutouts, I will mention several videos by all the people I'm talking about, and I will link all of those videos down in the description below, as well as their channel general homepage. So I want to start off with talking about my three fellow co-hosts of Victober, and then I will go through the rest of the people I want to talk about today in alphabetical order of channel name, because that seems a sensible way to do it. But let's start off with my three fellow Victober co-hosts, Anne from Beyond the Pages, Kate Howe and Lucy the Reader, all of whom have brilliant channels and talk a lot about Victorian literature. And if you like Victorian literature and you like watching booktubers who like Victorian literature, they are three people you definitely need to be subscribed to. So let's start with Anne from Beyond the Pages. I've been watching Anne's channel for a very long time, since well before I had my own channel, and I've always really enjoyed it. She loves Victorian literature and classics, to be honest, as a whole, and is a really brilliant person to watch if you're interested in 19th century and more modern classics as well, because she does talk about quite a wide range. I'm going to link down below quite a few of her videos, including her favourite Victorian books video from last Victober and her all of the Victorian books I've read video from last Victober, both of which will give you a good sense of her taste in Victorian books. She is especially a fan of Thomas Hardy, but she also likes the Brontes and Dickens and a lot of other authors, and is really interested in the Victorian period. I'm also going to link down below her series review of the Barsetshire Chronicles, which she did probably a year ago now, because I really enjoyed that video as well, and she has enjoyed reading Trollope as well. And obviously, as she is one of the hosts, she's been taking part in Victober this year, and so I'll link down below her Victober TBR as well. She's definitely someone I would recommend if you're interested in Victorian literature. Another of my fellow Victober co-hosts is Kate Howe. Kate Howe started her YouTube channel probably like 6 months to a year after mine, and I remember like discovering her through her commenting on my channel and just being so excited to discover someone who loved Elizabeth Gaskell as much as I did. She has brilliant taste in Victorian literature and, like me, enjoys looking up more obscure authors and books. Her favourite Victorian author is Elizabeth Gaskell, and her favourite Victorian novel is Elizabeth Gaskell's Wives and Daughters. So I will link down below the review she made of Wives and Daughters last year, when she did a kind of series of her top 10 favourite Victorian books and did review videos of each of them, which was really great. I've also been really enjoying her Victober content this year. She made a brilliant video called Victorian Literature for Newbies, recommending great Victorian literature to read if you haven't read that much before, and she also made a great video called How to Victober for general sort of tips for taking part in the readathon. And I've also been really enjoying her Victober vlogs as well, which are really engaging and really fun. And I'll link down below her Victober TBR as well, so you have a sense of what she's been reading this month. Kate loves Victorian literature a lot, and she's one of my favourite people to buddy read with as well, and she's someone whose channel I would definitely recommend. And of course I also want to recommend our other host, Lucy the Reader. I've been watching Lucy for a really long time, again like Anne, since way before I started my own channel, and I've always really enjoyed her content, especially as over the last like I guess 4 years that I've been watching her channel, I've seen her like move from reading mostly YA to reading at least sort of half classics, which I've really enjoyed. She loves Thomas Hardy and the Brontes especially, and has some brilliant videos and content on them. Especially I'm going to link down below her recent videos for the Bronte book club, or sort of her role as young ambassador for the Bronte Society. She did a brilliant video on Jane Eyre, a great one on Agnes Grey, one on Wuthering Heights, and I'm also going to link down below her video on where to start with Thomas Hardy, which I really enjoyed and I think has a lot of really good suggestions. Moving on from my fellow Victober hosts, I have a lot of other booktubers to recommend who love Victorian literature. Going alphabetically, let's start off with Amanda Centre. I've been watching Amanda for a really long time and I've always really enjoyed her channel, and especially I love it when she talks about Victorian literature, as I do always, I suppose. I'm going to link down below the Victober TBR she did for this year, which is part of a video which is in her kind of ongoing series at the moment, discussing her efforts to get her TBR down to 0 books by 2019. I'm also going to link down below the Victorian literature tag, which she did, I must guess it must be last year, and also a video she made on Villette, also probably maybe a year ago, I'm not really sure, but I thought was absolutely brilliant. Like, she really enjoyed Villette and the way she talks about her reading experience of it was really, really interesting, and she has really good taste in Victorian literature, and in general I love her channel. She's very funny and very entertaining and someone I definitely recommend. Next I want to mention Marissa from Blatantly Bookish. Marissa is one of my absolute favourite booktubers and someone I get on with so well as well. Her content is always really good and really interesting, and of course she loves the Victorians. I will link down below her Victober TBR, of course, as well as some of her Victober content from this year that I've been really enjoying, including her video on sort of all the Victorian novels on her shelf and her video on Dickens and sort of serialised reading. I'm also going to link down below her BookTube top 10 tag video which she made recently, talking about like her favourite 10 books of all time, because several of them are Victorian, and she kind of talks about the difficulties of assessing your love of classics in comparison to your love of contemporary books. And I'm also going to link down below her video review of Wives and Daughters, which she did fairly recently, and also a much older video discussion on Wuthering Heights. She made 2 videos on Wuthering Heights, I think it must be 2 years ago. These are old videos, but those videos are how I first discovered her channel, and I really, really loved watching them, and it made me sort of really, really know that I was going to really love her content, so I would definitely recommend watching them as well. I really enjoy Marissa's videos because they're always fun and enjoyable to watch, but they're also analytical and in-depth and always make me think a lot, so yeah, I would definitely recommend her channel. The next person I want to mention is Emma from The Bookish Princess. Emma's another person I've been watching for a really long time actually, and whose channel I really like. I would say her channel is like half BookTube and half Disney Tube, if that's a thing, which I also really enjoy. And she likes quite a lot of Victorian literature, and I would say she's especially a fan of George Eliot. One of her favourite Victorian novels is Silas Marner. Now obviously I am not a fan of George Eliot, but I do really enjoy hearing other people talk about her, even though I'm not a great fan of that author myself. So I will link down below Emma's Victober TBR, which I really enjoyed, and I'm also going to link down below a recent Penguin English Library haul that she did where she talks about lots of the recent classics that she's bought. The next booktuber I want to mention is Helene from Books by Lanes. Now, Helene has what I can only call a love-hate relationship with Victorian literature. She adores Wuthering Heights, she adores Great Expectations. Oscar Wilde is one of her favourite people in the world who has ever lived, but she also hates Jane Eyre, and she has quite a lot of hate for a few other Victorian novels as well. But I really, really love hearing her talk about Victorian literature, especially as well because it is quite refreshing sometimes to hear a very different perspective on a book that you love. So I will link down below quite a few of her videos. I'm going to link down below a video she made recently where you will certainly see the more hate side of her love-hate relationship with Victorian literature, a video called Roasting Victorian Literature for 16 Minutes Straight in honour of Victober. And then I'm also going to link down below some more positive reviews, including her individual book reviews of Great Expectations and Wuthering Heights, both of which she adored. And I'm also going to link down below the wrap-up in which she talks about finishing the complete works of Oscar Wilde and kind of her relationship with and interest in Oscar Wilde, because that's a really great video as well. Next I want to mention Kaylee from Books for MK. I really, really enjoy her channel, and she has very good taste in Victorian literature and classics in general. I've especially enjoyed some of her individual book reviews, so I'm going to link down below some of them, particularly her reviews of Our Mutual Friend, Lorna Doone, and some Dickens short stories, which I really, really enjoyed. And I'm also going to link down below a video of hers called, I think, Let's Talk About Anthony Trollope, where she talks about Anthony Trollope, because he's another of my favourite Victorian writers, and I really enjoyed hearing her thoughts on him. The next person I want to mention is Carolyn from Carolyn's Reading Rambles. I have been watching and enjoying Carolyn's channel for a very long time. I think probably since around the time I started making booktube videos myself, and we have been booktube friends for ages, and I always enjoy her channel. She has very similar taste to me in a lot of things, but especially in Victorian literature. She enjoys Gaskell and Dickens and Trollope, and I loved buddy reading the Barsetshire Chronicles with her over the last year and a half, and we're also currently buddy reading the Pallitzer series. I will link down below her Victober TBR, and then I'm also going to link down below a video she made recently which was her Penguin English Library collection. I think it's in 2, maybe 3 parts, but I'll link them all down below, and that will show you quite a lot of the classics and especially the Victorian literature that she owns. I really enjoy her channel. She's always kind of very chatty and casual but really engaging, and I love her taste in Victorian literature a lot. The next booktuber I want to mention is Claire Reads Books. I absolutely love her channel, and one of the things I love about her channel in general, not just about when she discusses classics, is that her individual book reviews are really, really thorough and concise and brilliant and just so well done. I love her taste in contemporary books as well, but I also really love the way she talks about Victorian literature, and I'm going to link down below 3 individual book reviews of hers in particular that I really enjoyed, one on Jude the Obscure, one on Villette, and one on Middlemarch, and I'll also link down below her Victober TBR, of course. Her favourite Victorian novel is Villette, which in my opinion shows decidedly good taste, so I would highly recommend her channel. The next person I want to mention is Risha from For the Love of Classics. She loves classics a lot, as her channel name would suggest, and I really enjoy hearing her discuss classics. She always discusses them in a really interesting way, and she often does videos where she kind of pulls together sort of 4 different classics that she's read recently and reviews them in one video. I'll certainly link one of those reviews down below. I also really enjoyed the Victober vlog she did this time last year, and I'll link down below her Victober TBR as well. She likes Trollope, she likes George Eliot, she likes the Brontes and Gaskell, and I've just so been enjoying hearing her thoughts on Victorian literature since I've been following her channel. The next booktuber I want to mention is someone slightly newer to me, and that is Andrea from Infinite Text. I've been watching her channel for about 6 months and I absolutely love it. She is so thorough and in-depth and fascinating, and often talks about books that I don't hear about that much in other places, which is something I really enjoy. I'm going to link down below her classics book tag, which should give you a sense of some of her taste in classics, and I'm also going to link down below her Victober TBR, of course, and a video she made for Victober that I really enjoyed called Death and the Victorians, where she talks about the Victorians' sort of relationship with death historically and in literature, and talks about quite a lot of non-fiction books on the subject that she's read. She's so knowledgeable and interesting, and I would highly recommend her channel. The next booktuber I want to mention is Libby Stephen. Libby is one of my favourite booktubers. I find her not only incredibly enjoyable and interesting to watch and incredibly knowledgeable, but also absolutely hilarious. Now, there are 2 particular Victorian authors that Libby is fantastic on. One is Thomas Hardy and the other is George Bernard Shaw. If you like or are interested in either of those 2 authors, you really need to watch Libby. I'm going to link down below her vlog for Dewey's 24-hour readathon, where she read like as many George Bernard Shaw plays in 24 hours as possible, which was very cool. And I'm also going to link down below one of the more recent Thomas Hardy reviews on her channel of Desperate Remedies, which I really enjoyed. But she does read quite widely within Victorian literature as well, and I always love hearing her thoughts on Victorian novels. So I'm going to link down below her Victober TBR, of course, and also a video she made a while back called Reading Jane Eyre, about the theme of reading in Jane Eyre, which was very cool, and also her book review of Our Mutual Friend, because obviously that is one of my favourite books of all time, and I like it when people talk about that book. Libby is really enjoyable to watch, as I said, and I would highly recommend her channel. The next person I want to mention is Kate from the novel Nomad. I have been watching Kate for ages and really enjoy her channel. I'm going to link down below her classics tag, which I think should give you a sense of her taste in classics, and also of course her TBR for this Victober. But one thing I've especially been enjoying about her content in the last month is that for Victober she's been doing top 5 Wednesdays, but with like a Victober spin. So for top 5 favourite villains, she did her favourite Victorian villains, and she did one all about Victorian books featuring the Gothic unknown, which I really enjoyed. I would highly recommend her channel. The next booktuber I want to mention is Petra Yu. I have been loving Petra's channel for ages and ages. She loves Victorian literature, especially the Brontes, well, especially Jane Eyre, and she also really enjoys Gaskell and Anthony Trollope as well. I'm going to link down below her Victober TBR, of course, and also a few videos she's done recently which I really enjoyed. One on her like general recommendations for Victober, and another on her favourite Victorian novels of all time. She's such a fantastic booktuber, and she always talks so interestingly about Victorian literature and about her kind of connection with and interest in Victorian literature, so she's someone whose channel I would highly recommend. The next booktuber I want to mention is Rachel from Rachel's Reading Corner. She likes Thomas Hardy and the Brontes, especially Wuthering Heights, and she is one of my favourite booktubers. I love watching her channel so much. I will link down below her For the Love of Classics tag, which she did a while ago, which I think should give you an introduction into her taste in classics. And I'm also going to link down below, of course, her Victober TBR. Another thing I'm going to link down below is a review video she did on Wuthering Heights a while back. Now, Wuthering Heights is her favourite Victorian novel. I really enjoyed hearing her talk about it. Her review is so in-depth and interesting, and I would highly recommend it. I've also been enjoying some of the content she's been making this Victober, including her top 10 Victorian novels video, which I will link down below, and was really exciting to see, and also her Try a Chapter tag Victober edition, which I really enjoyed. I really love the way she talks about Victorian literature very in depth and really interestingly, and also how she talks about like the writing specifically, like in the Try a Chapter tag, and she tried 2 different books by Thomas Hardy, and she was just talking about like how much she loves Thomas Hardy's writing style, and it's just great. You should definitely go watch her channel. The next booktuber I want to mention is Claudia from Spencer's Library. I love Claudia's channel a lot, and over the last year it has become really one of my absolute favourites. I will link down below her Victober TBR, and I have to say that her Victober content has been on point. It has been absolutely fantastic. I especially enjoyed her video, How to Do Your Hair Like a Victorian Lady Author, although I tried, and I'm just not very good at doing my hair even like a Victorian. However, while I have slightly failed to do my hair like a Victorian lady author, Claudia does it perfectly, as in fact does the next booktuber I'm going to talk about. Anyway, that video made me smile so much. It was really interesting, and I also really enjoyed her video video on where to start with Oscar Wilde and where to start with Sherlock Holmes, and just like every other video she's been putting up this month has been excellent. I'm also going to link down below her video that she did a month and a half ago maybe on her all-time favourite classics, which will give you a good sense of the Victorian literature and other classics that she enjoys. She has excellent taste and is an especial fan of Oscar Wilde and the Brontes, and she's just someone whose channel I would highly recommend if you enjoy reading classics. Finally, last but not least, the other booktuber I want to mention is someone who is very new to me. I have only discovered this booktuber in the last month since Victober began, but I'm absolutely loving her channel so far. And this is Tilly from Tilly's Shelf. I cannot recommend her enough. She's only been on BookTube about 2 months I think, but she's absolutely brilliant. I'll link down below her BookTube newbie tag so you can get an introduction to her channel, but she's just, yeah, she's very enthusiastic and very analytical and awesome, and I'm really enjoying her channel. I watched her Victober TBR because I've been watching everybody's Victober TBR. She said that in the spirit of my challenge for Victober, she was going to read all of her Victober stuff chronologically, which I just thought was very cool. And so I carried on watching more of her channel, and she's been making some brilliant videos in Victober connected with the fact that she's been doing her Victober reading chronologically. So she did one video called Victober, the Start of an Era, where she sort of goes through the first 10 years of the Victorian period and like all of the history that happened as well as lots of the books, with Victorian style hair as modelled by Claudia from the Spencer's Library in her video. And then she's also made a video on the second 10 years of the Victorian period, a similar thing, which I really enjoyed. Like, she made like a little timeline schedule of the Victorian period, and it's very cool. Like, it's just, you know that feeling when you find a new booktuber who is very new on BookTube and who you've never seen before, and they're just amazing and you're very happy. That's, yeah, you need to go watch her channel right now. I'm so excited to see how her channel grows and progresses in the future. There we have it. Those are, I think, 17 booktubers who love Victorian literature. If you like watching my videos and the videos of other booktubers who like Victorian literature, you should definitely check out all of these people. I think you'll really enjoy their channels. And if you have any other booktubers you'd like to recommend me who talk about Victorian literature, please leave their links and channel names down in the comments below. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've all had a really good Victober, and I'll be back very soon with another bookish video.